Hello there, and welcome to the Male-Female Dynamic. My name is Ellie Deutsch, and we are here to discover how to ignite your relationship with more passion, intimacy, and connection. And with me today, my special guest is Elizabeth Golembeski, who is joining us to give us some awesome knowledge and wisdom and some pointers and some direction in terms of life and love. So hi, Elizabeth Golembeski, how are you?
Hi, Ellie. I'm doing great, and I'm excited to be talking to you and talking to everybody out there. So
awesome.
Wonderful.
We're so happy to have you here. And before we get into all the questions, just to give the audience a little bit of who you are, where you're coming from, and how you got where you got to. But keep in mind also that we have a limited time. We try to keep these segments to 20 minutes. So go ahead. What's your story?
So you don't want me to start with where I was born and raised and no, I'm just kidding.
Short and sweet.
I'm located in Austin, Texas. I am a dating, relationship, and life coach. I really focus on dating and relationships. And I got here about 10 years ago. I was through a divorce in my 20s, went through a lot of serial dating. Got a job that really that wasn't my passion, and found out that this was my passion. I also am married now, and I have in a wonderful, great relationship, and I feel that my life experience, as well as my coach certification training and academic training, has led me here now, and to be a go-to person, not only in Austin, but everywhere.
Right. That's the beauty of our times, where we can reach each other wherever we are. So beautiful, yeah. Great. So we're so privileged to have you here. So let's get right into it. So what we've been asking numerous speakers we've had on here is, and especially it's going to be right up your alley because you're straight up, we have people approaching this from different angles. It sounds like you're going head on into dating relationships. What is the number one issue, the number one thing, number one downfall that is getting it into people's lives, getting into people's relationships, right? Like what is the number one pitfall that you're seeing that constantly comes up to undermine relationships?
Great question. And I'll tell you what mine is. It is lack of self-awareness. And that's just not mine. That's mine, what I'm seeing from people. And that may seem odd because you're talking about a relationship, and I'm saying it's your own self-awareness. But I say that because people so often project, expect, don't have a clear view of who their partner really is, or what a relationship, a happy, healthy, committed relationship is really all about. And when people can become aware of who they are at a deep level, what their true values are, what they really want, what are some of their limiting beliefs, what are some of their, as I call it, triggers, or when your partner says something, you're automatically reactive. That's not all of those things that you react to are really about things in yourself that you're not aware of, that you kind of need to make peace with. So I think self-awareness and a commitment to the relationship will get you through anything in your relationships. It's oftentimes not your partner that is, I don't want to say the wrong one, but that's causing you strife, or that's not causing the relationship to work. It's a little bit of both of you.
Right.
So yeah, it's self-awareness, and just how well do you know yourself, and here's another one in conjunction with that, Ellie. It's your level of okayness with yourself. Right. Do you like yourself? Do you love yourself? Do you feel good at who you are, being who you are?
Good. So I have two questions to follow up with this. Let's start with the first one, which is, So, you're talking about self-awareness. Okay, so how do you get there, right? How do you get to self-awareness?
So for me, I have to admit it's always been easy. I've always been interested in awareness and personal development since I was a teenager. So I kind of sometimes think, oh, I'm sure everybody's so aware.
Okay, so how do you bring a person? How do you advise a person in order to get there? How do you counsel a person in order to get there?
Yeah, I give an assessment either verbally or in writing, and we look at different areas of their life and what beliefs they have about their life. Like all the good ones are taken if you're dating and trying to find a relationship, or if you're trying to succeed at work, you may be thinking, what I do is not good enough. I never can be good enough. Or if you're in a relationship, you may be thinking, oh, he's going to leave or reject me or betray me because I'm blank. So getting to, like, when I talk to the client and we get to what are you really thinking about that? What's that belief? Oh, perhaps it's, well, my first husband or my first wife did this. And so I'm really wary about.
So it's kind of like getting underneath whatever they say they're feeling or whatever the issue is. It's kind of like to be able to get, well, what's at the root of that?
Absolutely. When you get to the root of that, the key is becoming aware of what that is. Then you can change it.
Right.
And you can get a better, more positive belief.
Right. Is there a way that you would recommend for people to kind of do this exercise on their own? Is like, how can I do this if I wanted to try to, here I am sitting in a park somewhere and I'm going through my stuff and whatever, and so I go sit in a park to chill out. Like, how can I do this proactively on my own?
Yeah, you can, everybody out there. Go to a park, like Ellie said, or go someplace quiet. Give yourself some time. You could do it over a period of time, in increments. Just get quiet and ask yourself, what areas in my life aren't working so well? Okay, my relationship. Okay, so, my relation. And so write out everything that's not working. I wish my husband was more. I wish this was more. Whatever's not working in your life. So write out what's not working. And then underneath that sentence, think about it and write out what you think is causing it not to work. Okay? It's not working because the other person isn't doing the work. Okay? You write that down. And then you have to bring it to yourself. Okay? Forget about what all the other people are doing. Say now, what am I thinking or doing that may be my part in this not working?
Gotcha. Nice. Very good. Okay, we're talking here.
And then you can change it to something positive.
Obviously. Yeah. Okay, we're talking here with Elizabeth Golubeski, who is giving us some deep transformative information here. And so then how do we get to, you also mentioned this place of peace. You said, I think to make peace with yourself. Was it, how do we get there? How do we get there? Okay, I got to my place of, I start to becoming aware of my patterns and getting a little bit deeper in terms of understanding myself and my triggers and what's underneath those triggers. But how do I get to that place of the peace that you were talking about?
Well, you can actually get there anytime. Okay, so we're going to segue into how you can get to peace anytime like this. And that is coming back to yourself, and I mean your body, and being with yourself in the present moment. Okay, so what does that mean? It means, generally a lot of times we're in the monkey wheel, the rat wheel of our head, and we're going, oh my gosh, I hope this happens. I hope he does that. I hope this happens. Or we're going, I hope this doesn't happen because it happened in the past. Right. We're worried about the past. We're regretting, we're worried about the future. We're regretting or worried about the past repeating itself a lot of times in our head. So how do you access peace? Take a deep breath. Let those thoughts kind of go like you would see clouds in the sky just passing by. Pretend they're clouds in the sky and realize right here, right now is the present moment. And I don't have to. I can wake up. I can watch myself thinking those thoughts and realize there's another part of me that's just sitting here right now. And when I'm sitting here right now, everything is peaceful. And that doesn't mean that to access peace, you have to sit, stoic for 2 hours and not move and not think. No, it means simply that you come back to the thought, the calm and centering thought that I'm just right here, right now.
Right, I gotcha. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's also, there's certainly a Hasidic meditation practice which talks about seeing those traits or those emotions in front of you and letting them pass. And it's a way of also developing an understanding of who you are, that you are not those things, that those things do not own you. So like, for example, anger, instead of saying I'm angry, a person who's working on these things and practicing this will look at it as I'm angry. Okay, anger is coming up for me. Anger is an issue for me. It's like, okay, I acknowledge that, I see it, and I let it, I give it, like the awareness that I know that it's there, but it's not me. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like what you're saying. You get to a place of self-awareness that you're talking about. Yeah.
Ellie, and I have a feeling that people listening to this may have other practices that they do. It could be yoga, it could be formal meditation. It's outside jogging and just getting out of your head and just being jogging or walking or seeing nature, just absorbing nature or playing with your dogs or cats. It's just really engaging in what's in front of you.
Beautiful, beautiful. So we're here on the Male-Female Dynamic Summit with Elizabeth Galembeski, and we are enjoying some deeper conversation and really opening up the door to ourselves and ultimately to our relationships. And so this is the way, you're saying that this is what you do with couples. You're saying you'll take a person aside, you'll take them as a couple or as an individual, and this is the way you get people to be in touch with themselves in this manner, and then to come together. Is that what you're getting at?
Basically, yes. It depends on where the couple is. Sometimes we can do this as a couple, but it's generally good for me to have a handle on how aware each person is before we start getting into. It's just really useless to get people together that are going to say, she did that, well, he does this, and then she did that, and it's about each person taking responsibility for what their side is.
Yeah.
Right? What their thoughts are, what their attitudes are, how they may be judging their spouse, or just doing things that are more blaming than taking responsibility.
Right. I hear you. Okay, great, beautiful. So as we come closer to winding down here already, what do you think, we do have a few minutes left, so what do you think is, if we were to close up shop here right now, we're to shut this thing down, and what you're talking about, of course, is a development over time. People need to work on that. Like, this is not something you could do it right now, but I mean, to become one with this idea, that this should become second nature to you, or first nature.
Yes.
This is something that's a practice, something a person has to work on. Is there something right now that you can give our listeners, our viewers, like a 1-minute thing, like a quick actionable tweak or switch a person can make, that when we finish here, we close up the computer and a person can go ahead and tweak this thing or change this thing within themselves or within their relationship, and it could be like a concrete, actionable, practical change for them that they can integrate in their life right now. Do you have anything off the top of your head?
1-minute miracle here. Okay, do this. Try this, guys and girls. Acceptance. Accept yourself the way you are. Think of yourself as being your best friend. Okay? Engage with yourself and think highly of yourself, and that will translate into actually loving people more and getting along with people more and having great relationships.
If only it was that easy. If only it was that easy.
You can just remember, you can also remember this affirmation and do this with feeling. I accept myself just the way I am. I accept myself just the way I am.
Right, right.
Okay.
Right. My wife, who also works in relationship coaching as well. So she has something she does, and she might have gotten it from somebody else, but where she sits with people and gets them to say, "I'm good enough," right? Especially with women, she works only. But she gets like to just say, "I'm good enough. I'm good enough.
That's a great one.
I'm good enough." And so to get a person to focus in on that, especially certain, whatever people in their situations, and definitely with women. This is something that she's found that people have like really just, she gives them some great content, and they'll be talking afterwards about this exercise that she like made them do. And of course, a lot of people, there's always those few people who are like uncomfortable with it, and of course, those are the ones who like need it the most. And and so if a person can go ahead and do that, because it's very reflective, and it changes these types of things. We think we see it kind of made fun of in movies sometimes, but these are things that if we actually take them on as a practice and understand the depth of it, they could be really transformative. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So Elizabeth Golembeski, we thank you so much for joining us, but we want to know also, how can we follow up with you? How can we go ahead and take this to the next level, or see more about you and more that you have to offer the world?
Thanks, Ellie. Go to my website, ignitedivinesparks.com. That's ignitedivinesparks.com, because that's what I help people do in their life. Or email me, truelovecoach@gmail.com. truelovecoach@gmail.com.
Beautiful, beautiful. Any parting before you go, since we do have one more minute.
Good.
So in terms, I just want to, maybe we'll throw out one more question there. In terms of acceptance, right? How do you think? You mentioned a quick tip, and that's, I think that's the beginning, about speaking to yourself in this way. But what do you think is, if we wanted to take this on a deeper level, if we wanted to, because there's a statistic. Let me give you an example. There's a statistic out there that says that they did a study of what's the number one thing. The number one regret of the dying. I don't know if you ever saw this or heard this. The number one regret of the dying. What they found out it was that it's a person that a person says that their number one regret was that they didn't go ahead and just do the thing they wanted to do. They don't live their life because they were afraid of what other people will think, right?
Yes.
And so I think that, what would you say off the top of your head? And because I only ask you because I think it's related to what we're talking about with acceptance. What is the path to get to a certain level of acceptance of oneself and ownership of oneself and in touchness with oneself, to the point that we can at least be on a path of getting past this thing about caring what people think?
Yeah, great question. And I call what other people think, we all have other-itis. It's like, what are they going to think about me? It's always about the other person. What are they going to think about me? And just realizing that, and to the degree that we have other-itis and always worried about what somebody else is going to think of us, is transformative. Okay, so that's part of it. The other part is accepting yourself. That again, it doesn't mean you can't not want to improve yourself in the ways of, like, I feel better if I lost weight, or I feel better if I did this class. Okay, so you can do those things, but remember, and here's the core, here's the bottom level of everything, in my opinion. It's, are you a spiritual being having a human experience, or are you a human being having a spiritual experience, or spiritual experiences in this life? What that means is, Ellie, if everybody remembers that they are more than just this human
package
form here, with ego here. It's real easy to accept that you're a spiritual being, and that as a spiritual being, there's nothing wrong with you.
Right.
Yes?
Beautiful.
And so if you connect to that mindset, I'm a spiritual being, there's nothing wrong with me. It's easy to accept myself like this. And I realize that everybody else are really deep down inside also spiritual beings. So it creates a different mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful. Great. Good. I'm glad we got into that there at the end there. So good. Beautiful.
Yeah.
This is Elizabeth Golumbesky, and I am Ellie Deutsch, and this has been the male-female dynamic, discovering how to ignite more passion, intimacy, and connection. Feel free, as always, to be in touch with us, to be in touch with either of us. We'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to get your feedback, and we'd love to foster this relationship. Have yourselves a wonderful, awesome day filled with much life and much love.